Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conversations About Conversations. This is a show for people who are conversation leaders. You may be asking, what is a conversation leader? Well, quite simply, you are. You're leading conversations all day, every day, either with other people or even in your own head. The sponsor of this podcast is the book Conversations: How to Manage Your Business Relationships One Conversation at a Time by yours truly, Ivan Farber. Conversations is available on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. Today's conversation is manifesting happiness. As I thought about this topic, I thought about how much time and effort I've put into becoming a happier person, in some cases, efforting to be a happier person, which is kind of antithetical. I am not giving this presentation as an expert on happiness, rather as someone who has reached several layers of conscious incompetence and is a student of happiness. I recently finished a book called Your Brain at Work by Dr. David Rock. And it's not just about your brain at work, but it's also about your brain at work, how your brain works. One of the pieces of advice he gives is to really think about your prefrontal cortex, your short-term working memory, as a stage to be managed and guided and really preserved, because when you put stuff on the stage, it's very energy intensive. Then he says, watch out for the amygdala. Amygdala is the part of your brain that focuses on emotional memory, shame, love, grief. And then your amygdala goes searching when it has a reaction, goes searching in the hippocampus for memories from the past. So if you have a good memory in the past, the amygdala might pull it, but more likely than not, the amygdala, in being fearful, is going to pull something, say, oh, I know what this is like. I'm going to react in the same way. Other parts of the brain, the basal ganglia is habit formation and learning. The cerebellum, procedural skills, motor learning, processes, and the neocortex, higher functions such as sensory perception. Now, it's often said that this is your brain. And then it's said that this is your brain on drugs. This, though, is your brain with a side order of bacon. Another book I've read in the last couple of years is called Don't Believe Everything You Think: Why Your Thinking is the Beginning End of Suffering. And if you think and wonder, when am I most unhappy? This is what Joseph Wynn's thinking was. He's like, I'm not happy when I'm not thinking. It's when I'm thinking that I'm unhappy. And so he talks about, like, we have this overthinking mentality where we think, and it's not necessarily serving us or making us happy. I don't know if you've ever encountered automatic negative thoughts or ants. Here's how I kind of envision some of these ants. Not, of course, relative ants, but just ants in my memory and my imagination. And then when we look at the things that we beat ourselves up for, it's incredible. There's the stuff that's out of our control, the stuff that everyone has literally already forgotten about, and the stuff that no one else ever noticed. But yet, in our own heads, our thoughts are making us unhappy. There's what's out of our control. And when we focus on that, things like what other people are doing, the future, the past, others' opinions, how others take care of themselves, what happens around me, what other people think of me, we definitely create unhappiness. When we focus on what's in our control, our thoughts and our actions, the things we give energy to, how we speak to ourselves, the goals we set, how we spend free time, handle challenges, those things are in our control, and those give us a greater likelihood to be happy. We could be surrounded by a sea of positivity, and yet our brains, our amygdalas, focus in on the one red dot in a sea of blue dots, and of course, don't necessarily make us feel good. There's the things we obsess about, which is the larger circle here, and then often what's really important, and we don't always focus on it, but obviously finding happiness is really important. And then I really resonate with this image of a person who is climbing up a hill, pushing the boulder of who I think I should be. Like, how many times are you going through your day and you compare what's happening and how you are to the way you think you should be, as if there is a way that you should be, and it can be quite a burden. When I looked at my book log and typed in hap, that I've read a lot of books about happiness. I wasn't even aware of that until I put this presentation together. Stumbling on Happiness, 10% Happier, Happiness of Pursuit, The Happiness Project, The Happiness Track, The Art of Happiness, Language in the Pursuit of Happiness, Happier at Home by Gretchen Rubin. But the book that has made the biggest difference for me is a book called Happiness from the Inside Out by Robert Mack. And Robert Mack is someone who I had a conversation with on my podcast. We had mutual connection on LinkedIn. I hit like on a post that he did. We then exchanged direct messages, and then I invited him on my podcast. And it was a really fantastic conversation. I called it Happiness Leads to Success. And then I had him back for another episode called The 8 Principles of Happiness. What are the 8 principles of happiness? The principle of smart energy investment, non-attachment, positive focus, self-appreciation, appreciative thought and language, constructive response to adversity, inspired action, and self-empowerment in relationships. The image on the screen there is from my YouTube channel. It's a 5-minute book summary that I recorded. All the words are from Robert Mack and his book, and I listen to it every morning. I've listened to it every morning for several years now because I'm a learner. I'm a happiness learner, not someone who would say, oh, I'm always happy. Now, there's a classic study by psychologist Sonia Lyubomirsky and other colleagues, and came up with a formula for happiness. H equals S plus C plus V, or happiness equals a set point, conditions, and then voluntary activities, or I would say 50% in their formula, set point or generic predisposition, 10% conditions of your life circumstances, and then 40% voluntary activities, actions, and behavior. I'm not saying I agree with or endorse this study. I just thought it was an interesting contrast that it's studied and that people can point out to this. The thing that Robert Mack pointed out to me is that even some of the things that are considered genetic predispositions are things that you can change. Another formula I found by Dr. Arthur Brooks, he said happiness equals enjoyment plus satisfaction plus meaning. And another book called The Good Life, they wrote about there are 10 factors and predictors of happiness: strong social relationships, physical and mental health, purpose and meaning, intentional activities and habits, financial security, freedom and autonomy, optimism mindset, environmental community factors, genetics, and personality, engagement, and flow. All right, so those are other people's experiences. My own tips, I would say that enjoying the process over the outcome, focusing on the journey, is much more fulfilling than the destination. It's been a trap for me. Another trap that I've fallen into: don't delay your happiness. Avoid thinking, I'll be happy when blank happens. And then this quote by Naval Ravikant about desire. Desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Now, I do have a bucket list. I found this one series. It's not my list, but I thought the way that this person reframed his bucket list, instead of life goals of make $1 million, to make a positive impact. And instead of finding the perfect partner, finding inner peace. And instead of collecting more luxury items, collecting more beautiful memories. Instead of gaining recognition from peers, gaining more self-confidence. Instead of making my parents proud of how much I earn, making my parents proud of how happy I am. Getting more stuff versus getting rid of limiting beliefs, and pursuing a career that makes a lot of money versus a career that you're just truly excited about. It's been said that early on, your focus is really on career and money, and then you kind of hit a trough. And I would say that I found myself in that trough over the last few years. And then my focus, and I can see why this would be something generally thought of, is that purpose and meaning is really where happiness comes from versus career and money success. And also, it's not just the pursuit of happiness, but truly it's the happiness of pursuit. That the sense of meaning that you get working towards a goal is really much greater than once you achieve that goal. I can tell you how many awards that I have won where it was leading up to the award that was really meaningful to me. And then once I got the award, I was ready for the next one. And there wasn't a lot of meaning attached to it. When you think about the people who are responsible for your happiness, 45% is you, 28% is yourself, 16% is you again, 9% nobody else, and then the remaining slice, 2%, the person in the mirror. Like, we are the ones that are responsible for our happiness, and that's the good news. But how do you do that? Well, I read a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter, and I posted about it on LinkedIn. I wrote a couple articles, and then his PR agent approached me and said, would you like to have Dr. Helmstetter on your podcast? I said, of course I'd like to have Dr. Helmstetter on my podcast. Let's do it. And we did an episode called Wire Yourself for Success, Learn the Language of Positive Self-Talk. I re-listened to the conversation recently. It is far and away my most popular episode on YouTube, well over 10,000 views of the episode, because Dr. Helmstetter is a little more famous than me and very much known in the field for positive self-talk. So here I am integrating all the books I've read, Coach Robert Mack's happiness coaches ideas with positive self-talk. Well, who's the person you talk to the most? You're the person you talk to the most. And here's me talking to myself. The way you speak to yourself impacts your life far more than how others speak to you in so many ways, because we're not with people all the time, but we're always with ourselves. And then I actually found this on a telephone poll. What we focus on expands. And it's true, like everything that we're focused on expands. If we focus on our happiness, we'll find more happiness. If we focus on misery, we'll find more misery. Manifesting is the act of using methods such as visualization, picturing something in your mind, and affirmation. It's based on the idea that you can think your dreams into reality. But I would say you're always manifesting, and because anytime you really want to see just how manifesting is progressing in your life, you just have to look around you, your life. That's what you are manifesting. That's what you're picturing and you're hearing. But I like to think of life living forward as a blank canvas, and the things that you can do to create your life: speaking, thinking, writing, visualizing, and then doing. What I've learned in the manifesting I've done, and again, I'm just a beginner manifester, that when it's positive, when it's present tense, when it's creative or generative, and when it's incremental, are when it's most powerful and best for me. I state something in the positive, it's actually true about right now. I state it in the present tense, I'm creating something, and it's all focused on right here, right now, not someday, maybe. Here's a vision board that I did a couple of years ago, where I just put the things in my life that I wanted more of: more relationship, more passion, more focus. I'm a really big fan of this in the lower left-hand corner, this sign that we saw at Airbnb. Today is a good day for a good day. And just waking up and saying, oh, today's a good day for a good day. Why not today? On this screenshot, I have two things that are on my phone. On the left side is a part of my Google Drive. And I have recorded scripts straight out of What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And I have listened to these. You can see some of the dates on here, 2021. I have listened to these every day for years now. Then for the last year, I've been writing a manifesting statement every Sunday, and then I record it. And so I just play it. So the first thing I do when I wake up, I play it. Now, you may say, Ivan, that's kind of funny. Like, do you really need a reminder of what you're manifesting? Well, yeah, I absolutely need a reminder of what I'm manifesting, because even though I've decided to be happy, I don't always wake up happy. Even I've decided to be free of stress and worry. I am not always free of stress and worry because, and this is why I started with our brains, things get hardwired in our hippocampus, in our amygdalas, and those things are hard coded. And so when you're starting off in any given moment, those things come into play. My current manifesting statement that I recorded just this past Sunday, I reach for a positive feeling before I speak, whether it's in my head or out loud. I am happy on the inside. I am happy on the outside. I am present and peaceful. I am grateful and full of greatness. My heart is full of joy and my experiences are full of wonder, curiosity, and learning. I feel connected with the people in my life. I exercise every day for enjoyment, vitality, and endurance. I do pull-ups every day. I am fit, strong, healthy, and lean. I am well rested, well hydrated, and well nourished. I'm a thought leader on conversations. People want to hear me speak and know what I think. I help people make good decisions and encourage positive self-actualizing actions. I'm a decisive and effective delegator. I lead my team, provide unparalleled service. I do hard things because I am strong and capable. Manifesting works for me. So I've done this every week for 52 weeks. And I will be very honest with you that sometimes I don't feel these ways. Sometimes I don't feel peaceful. I don't feel happy on the inside and happy on the outside. I did get off of the plane in Seattle a couple of months ago, and my brain was saying, I feel happy on the inside, happy on the outside. I feel happy on the inside, happy on the outside. James Clear said that every decision is a vote for the person you want to become. And he has a fantastic chart in his book, Atomic Happiness, where every single choice that you make may get you closer or further to a good day or a bad day. Did I make a good choice? And you have each of these things. And I specifically think about it before I'm about to click on like opening a social media website. Like my mouse is hovering over the spot. Do I click or not? And I know it's going to be a bad choice. And sometimes I do it anyway. But if I can say, no, don't make that bad choice. As I wrap up, I'm going to quote Brendon Burchard, who said, first, it's an intention, then it's a behavior, then a habit, then a practice, then a second nature, then it is simply who you are. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this conversation about conversations.